After reading The Companion and doing my deep dive research into Tam, I think some of the funnest thoughts that I've had since is one, Tam Althor fought with Matin Stepaneos, the king of Illian. Everything from the White Cloak wars, plural, right?
Yeah, but did he actually fight with Matt and Stepaneos?
I
Or
meant that like
just,
generally, like they were both in the same campaign.
I guess so.
Uh,
So he was in the Companions, and the Companions were considered the king's bodyguard.
mhm. I don't know if Matin Stepaneos was the king yet at that point.
Hmm. Oh, okay. That's a good,
He was captured by the
yeah.
White Cloaks, though, and rescued,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I wonder if Tam was a part of that. Because if he was technically, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is
That
purely
was a good,
conjecture, but it's fun conjecture, right? It's like Tam fought in the White Cloak Wars, the two White Cloak Wars, from the Companion. Mountain Stepaneos was captured during that time by the White Cloaks and rescued, right? And it's just kind of fun to conjecture that Tam had something to do with that. But all that aside, what's fun is during the Two Rivers encounter with the White Cloaks is that Tam. It wasn't the first time Tam was
yeah.
dealing with White Cloaks, right?
Why? Yeah, I never thought about that, but you're right. That never occurred to me. He fought in what, two wars against the White Cloaks, or
Yeah,
just one?
yeah. I think it was two wars against the White Cloaks,
Um. Wow. Yeah.
right?
So that's crazy.
Like he understood their tactics. He snuck into their camp like twice, right?
Oh yeah.
Like that wasn't his first time sneaking into a White Cloak camp.
Yeah. He already knew their patrol patterns.
Yeah,
He knew
right.
where how their camp was laid out and everything.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
they said he feathered a few, right? Like, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I never thought about that. I was just kind of like moving through, focused on, Perrin the whole time because that's
Yeah,
the story's centered there. But yeah, Tam, yeah, fought White Cloaks on many occasions
yeah. Oh, this is
in
actually
his younger days.
really fun too. This line of thought is so so Robert Jordan in interviews said that he was originally going to like that Tam and Rand were the same character, right? Of like this youth going out into the world and doing things. And then eventually Tam became obviously his own character and the dad of Rand. And because it made sense for Rand
Yeah,
to go out and learn the world on his own like this.
yeah.
So
There's a lot of that characters changed a lot
yeah.
when he first started writing it to what it actually is published.
So
That's a whole discussion, but
yeah,
yeah.
but no, to go along with that, I wonder if a lot of Tam's story was going to be mirrored by Perrin's encounter with the White Cloaks, because that's like Perrin's stories. The White Cloaks are constantly at his heels.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely some thought around a conflict with the White Cloaks.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's why the White Cloaks exist in the
yeah,
story. Like that concept of we have a uncontrolled, independent military force
hmm,
that does whatever they want for what they view as good,
yeah, fanatically,
and like that is a force in the world that drives conflict.
yeah.
Um,
But it makes you wonder, like, did Tam have a bounty on his head from the White Cloaks? You know?
I mean, it's pretty rare that militaries will put a bounty on specific individuals' heads, and like you have to really stand out in a particular way
Hmm.
for a military to care about one single enemy soldier.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
I very doubtful, but
But it is the White Cloaks, so they hold grudges against everybody.
they do. So the unique thing about Tam's story and that character is that within all of the material that we have available to us,
Hmm.
Tam's story is leaked out in very small dribbles here and there.
Oh yeah.
Even in the Wheel of Time Companion, which we love reading from so much, it doesn't just lay out his story. It gives you like a small piece, and then
Yeah.
you'll be reading about something that you think is totally unrelated. And suddenly, a piece of Tam's backstory is baked into this seemingly unrelated thing that weren't, you didn't think you were reading about Tam's backstory, but
Hmm.
there it is suddenly.
Yeah. And you have to do that even outside the companion. Like it kind of pops up everywhere as you're going through the
Mm-hmm.
story. Just like Moraine experienced, right? When she is with the Amerlin seat in book 2 and they're like, "Yeah, he was a part of the companions. I wish I would have known that earlier."
Yeah, it's everywhere. So it takes a lot of effort to kind of piece it together. At a high level, what I think what everybody knows about Tam, he left the Two Rivers. He joined the Illian Companions,
Hmm.
which is like their military, it's like their only standing unit.
Yep.
So, and he served there, and
For a very long time.
yeah, for a very long time, and then retired, came back home to the Two Rivers with his wife and their baby, and he fought against the Aiel. Obviously, that's where he found Rand.
Hmm.
I think that's what generally is known about Tam's backstory.
Oh yeah. Which is basically nothing.
Well, it's the very, very high level notes,
Yeah.
and it leaves a lot of questions. But there's a lot more detail there if someone wants to spend uh, a whole weekend like really digging through the companion,
Yeah.
and other sources, interviews with Robert Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, just the blurb for Tam in the companion is is pretty shocking. Like it doesn't directly come out and say a lot of things, right? But like the fact that, for example, he had two babies with Kari Althor, or I guess she wasn't. No, yeah, she became
Yeah,
Althor. But like they had two small children that died, like right after birth. Like that's a freaking huge section
yeah, that's
of his character development.
pretty. So so Tam ran away from home.
Yeah.
He didn't leave under graceful circumstances. He ran away.
Hmm. To go explore the world.
Right. And I know there's some more detail about a little bit of the detail about how he kind of ended up in Ilion. I don't remember it.
Yeah. I don't either. I feel like he tried to go to Andor first or something like that.
Hmm.
I could be getting this mixed up with some of Rand's Portal Stone lives. He started out as a groom. We know that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, he started out as a groom, somehow became a soldier, which is not really well understood. And I wish I had the timeline in front of me. There's a great timeline about him joining the companions, and then the wars that he served in with
Right.
regards to the White Cloaks.
Right. And through those wars, he kind of gained in rank.
Hmm.
And at some point there, so if you read about Ilion, it
Hmm.
says the Illianers choose the man's wife for him,
Oh yeah, the Illianers,
but
yeah, or vice versa. Like they just do
but
arranged marriages.
Kari was not, even though they were living in Ilion, Kari was not an Illianer,
Yeah,
Illianer,
she's
Illianer.
she's Andoran. Um,
Right, she was from Andor.
yeah, working on behalf of her parents, who were very rich, well-to-do merchants from Andor. She was in the Traders Guild there when she met Tam, who at this point, um, I'm trying to remember what the exact timeline was, but he was well
He was
into
just
the
a soldier.
companions. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in the companions, but
like
he
he
wasn't
was a
anybody
veteran.
special.
Yeah.
He was a veteran, but nobody special.
Hmm.
Um, just just a soldier, probably of like middling rank.
Hmm.
Okay, so here's what I remember, and I do not know where I found it,
Okay.
of how Tam became a blade master and obtained that sword.
Hmm.
And I really think it's in the companion, but it's just buried somewhere hard to find.
Hmm.
And it's possible, like I'm totally misremembering this completely. So we know in the books
Hmm.
that someone asked Tam if he really was a blade master, and his reply was, well, I suppose so. I killed a man who was one, and I did it in front of witnesses.
Yeah.
What I remember finding, how this happened, was the man who was in charge of his unit, his commanding officer, was not fit for duty and was putting Tam and his men. I believe Tam was second in command at the time. Not second in command of the companions, but just of his
Hmm.
unit. So this commanding officer was going to get all of his men killed. Tam and every all of his soldiers just doing stupid things like charging directly at the enemy ranks just because he wanted the charge, for example. And
Hmm.
Tam wasn't willing to just stand by and allow this man to like get everyone killed for his own pride. And so Tam challenged that man to a duel. That man was a blade master, and Tam dueled and won, killed his commanding officer, and that is the duel that he spoke of and why it had to be done, even though he didn't want to. And because of the way he approached it, he wasn't in trouble. Uh, he obtained the sword, and that's the story of how he became a blade master.
So the companion actually outlines the exact dates that one, he becomes a blade master, and two, when he becomes the second in command of the companions. Uh, and they were significantly different dates. In the companion, it states that um, he married Kari in 1965 and then would become a blade master in 1966. And then he would serve in two wars with Tyr from 1962 to 1965. So what's really weird to me is the period in which he became a blade master is actually outside of war.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean a peacetime. Like the United States is in peacetime right now, and we're like
Hmm.
in battles all over like Africa and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think that is still very interesting to call out. And then from 1970 to 1976, he rose to be the second companion or second captain of the companions. So it wasn't like he was a blade master for 4 years minimum before rising to the rank of second captain. And what's interesting is it is called out in the companion that uh, he would have been second in command much sooner, and even first captain had he been uh, Illianer instead of a foreigner, which is a fun little detail, right? But yeah, and what's extra interesting is what is for sure known, rather than outside of little tidbits and clues, is that in an interview, Robert Jordan said Tam got his sword that Rand carries throughout the first two books from the King of Illian.
right, which would technically be true if that sword was in fact handed down and like as part of the military ranks. And then when Tam leaves, they would have to technically say it's okay, like he can keep it.
Yeah, it's so weird. I could not
So
find any clues to what you're talking about. I mean, it is known that he saved someone, like a high-ranking Illianer officer, and taught them the longbow, right? During that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, a number of them. There's I forgot his name, but there's one, the man who was in charge of the entire Illian army.
Hmm.
The first in command was his junior, and he helped train the man in his unit when he was
Yeah.
with the companions. I forgot his name, but
Are you talking about the one that eventually serves under Rand in the Illiana campaigns against the Shanshan?
yeah, probably he's the general of the Illian army. So,
Yeah.
all right, well, we need to wrap it up here. We'll record another episode later. A lot of fun. I'll talk to you later.